Ivy Gang Gang,
aka Mango King. Welcome to episode 11 of season 4 of Surviving Nairobi. Kama kawaida, it's your boy Hafare, aka a novelty chimpanzee, aka a regular debil, aka Mr. Sword and Sorcery, aka the alcoholic alligator, aka the rhinestone cowboy, and finally for this season it's your brand new sugar daddy. Personally, ever since I started calling myself your brand new sugar daddy, I've been getting so many DMs. But here's the thing, mbona mnaanza DM na hey? What's a hey gonna do? Missy Farasi? Please send some titties. Like some ass, as in at least something that'll get me attention. That's the thing. Acheni kunitumia hizi nini zenyu. Ama nitarudi kwa auntie zenyu. Please be warned. Once again, Ivy isn't here. She has personal stuff to take care of. But in her place, drum roll please.
Filling in for Ivy, it's Max again. I'm a co-host with Hafare on another podcast, Watch What We Do. So go check the link on Watch What We Do and watch what we do. So
exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Also, when if you listen to this episode, our birthday may Peter. I forgot to plug it in the last episode. I'll put it in the edit. So yeah, you only whatever. We're gonna do some shit. How the fuck did I forget that? Well, that's not important. I'll just put it in the edit afterwards. Today we're joined by
Wanjiru. My name is Wanjiru Ndirangu. I'm a millennial surviving in this Nairobi. And I'm glad to be here.
Recently thriving. Let's just
recently,
say
very recently thriving. Yeah, but I've always been surviving.
Hi. In Nairobi, ume thrive kutoka uzaliwe. You're God's favorite child. Uko na jina muhoho pahali.
Yes, or Kenyatta, and I'm neither of those. Yeah.
Speaking of Kenyatta, do you feel like anarani country ka kichinjio?
Well, that would be an insult to the people who actually run kichinjios, because I know that if I went there at 7:30 a.m., I'd get my meat ready. I feel like he runs it the way a toddler runs a house. You know how toddlers, run the house by default, because, they're the cranky ones, they're the ones who are the loudest and they make the most shit. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that Uhuru anaongeleanga wa Kenya ni kama sisi tume overstay bash kwake. Ni kama sisi wase tulikuja bash tukakaa Friday, Saturday, Sunday nafika.
We have overstayed his territory.
Hapana, I will never subscribe to that theory. Nakwambia, this Kenya exists before certain people, certain families, na ita exist after. Hatuwezi treatiwa ni kama sisi market crusher. Umeenda bash alafu umecrash. Kila mtu anaserviwa food except wewe.
Now, this reminds me of a story I saw on the TL. This guys had a party. Wow, I wanted to say bash, then it was party. Anyway, so these guys had a party. And of course, there were the gate crashers and all that stuff. So when the gate crashers realized that they were not being served food, they stole the sufurias. Yeah, what? It was a thread on the TL. I swear I'm not making it up. I wish I could find it. Yeah, they did. So power to the gate crashers.
Wow.
That's literally how we're supposed to do to this government. Like, just, get everything.
Wow.
Yeah. Seize the means of production.
Me, the only time nimeona mtu kwa TL akisema walibiwa sufuria ni kina nani? John Tex na Olet. Nah, that story is still one of the wildest things I've ever seen. How do you invite random women to your house to cook for you? Mkicheza FIFA.
But honestly, what did they expect? Power to those women. Preparation.
Walikuwa wanataka kula madem wakaenda kula nyama yao.
And it's not the meat they were expecting.
It's not the meat they were expecting. Ndio. Hiyo pork ilienda.
Na sufuria zake.
Ni mafuta ilikuliwa na si Arimis. Yeah, guy. Mazi nasema tu vitu zote nataka. Yeah. So let's get into this topic.
Yes.
They're talking about millennials in leadership.
Okay.
And there's something I've noticed, and I don't know if it's like a pattern, but there's so many millennials who are coming into leadership with all this I don't know how to put it, flash. Yes, indio. All these lights, all these big things. You go on IG, you see somebody, incoming sijui, incoming MP Langata 2022, incoming MP job, incoming senator, and their lives are so flashy. They are always everywhere taking photos. They live like a reality star. Is that a thing you've noticed, you guys, Ama?
Well,
Ama, is it like some Ama ni venye mimi natembeanga tu IG sana?
I feel like with everything that's going on right now, a lot of people know that the gateway to being untouchable is to go through government.
Yeah.
So I can be the biggest drug dealer. I can be whatever I want to be, because once I get that nomination or that parliamentarian seat, I literally have immunity. The cops can't do anything to me, all that stuff, and that's why a lot of people use that as an avenue, like, to get into government. And it's very sad that they use the guise of, we are young, we are the youth are taking over. You cannot be taking over, Kamau, if your work is laundering money.
Okay.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
That's the truth, actually, because I see these guys on IG, like honorable so and so, honorables. They're always attached. Yeah, what's his name? Ali Nur.
Yeah.
The one who said that he's gone to his favorite
Kibandaski.
Yeah.
The fact
I wonder whether he knows where his Kibanda mama lives.
That's the thing. The fact that ukona favorite Kibanda pia ni a bit like MP. That nigga has never eaten there before, probably.
Please.
Yeah. It's all flash. It's all like just showing people we're connected, but you're still perpetuating the disconnect.
Yeah.
All you want to do is to get into power, to do all this fuckery. Like,
a lot of us get into leadership because of the same reason. It's just the way you hear someone saying, I'd not be mad at so-and-so's toy for being so-and-so's toy, because even me, if my dad was in leadership, we'd also... And the thing is, you want to be a leader so that you can steal.
Yeah.
Is it crack?
I have literal friends who want to be leaders, who want to support BBI to the fucking core.
Yeah.
Because they want, where they live, they want it to be cut into even smaller chunks, so they have a bigger chance of becoming an MP.
Yes.
So that they can rob, steal, and pillage. And I know these people. They might lie and say, "Oh, it's all." No, I know you. I've known you for 15 years. All you're gonna do is just rob these people. And this is somebody who's like 30, 31. These are young people who could actually change the way the narrative goes about people in leadership, about how Kenya is led.
Yeah.
But the entire basis of wanting to become leaders is to steal.
Yes. And also, I feel like also when you get to government, like something happens, it changes you somehow. Look about the 23-year-old, was he an MC or an MP?
MP.
The guy from Meru.
Yeah, the guy who was bought Prado by Uhuru.
Yes, that one. He went back and people clobbered him almost half to death.
Yeah, what walikuwa kumpiga.
Yeah, because like he got into I don't know what happens once you get into. It's the same thing Mohaji Chopevu did.
Yep.
He got into government and
you remember he was denied He was denied a nomination. Like
yes.
I think they rigged him out.
Yeah.
Then he ran as an independent and still won.
Yeah.
There's this phrase I like. When you stare into the abyss stares back. So you might always... These people are like... The people who might go into leadership, young people, with the notion of, I want to change. Unafika kwa system. System inakwambia wewe personally. Hebu kaa chini. Nitadili na wewe personally. There's this Putin quote, and I feel so bad quoting Putin. Where he says that you have all these big dreams of power, of change. Then you win. You get into office. On your first day, men in black suits and red ties come into your office and tell you how things really work.
Yes.
And then when he said that, he was quick to point out, please notice that I'm wearing a blue tie.
Yeah.
You might have all these big dreams.
It's I feel like when it comes to government and everything that has to do with it, a lot of it is a colonial relic. We didn't not much changed after the white people went. It's just that now token black people were put on the top and everything. All the systems that were there are still there. All the systems that perpetuated the kind of divide that we have between the rich and the poor, because the tribes are only two, the rich and the poor.
Yes.
Violence.
All of it is embedded in government, and I'm talking about someone like I'm talking because I worked in government and I know how it's run. It's just, oh my goodness. If any of you is in civil service and you're listening to this episode, please leave. Yeah, you won't change it. Please leave, because I left.
Yeah.
So you get there I had so many hopes and dreams, by the way, when I was getting into government. You know, I knew millennials are the future. You know, it was the first time the government was hiring after a freeze of like 15 years. So we went with all that gusto for, you know, we are going to do this. We are going to...
It's a new generation.
Then you get there. I don't know whether to call it culture shock. I still don't have a word for it, because the kind of bureaucracy and how slow everything is. The fact that every small thing has to be approved by the person at the top, such that work does not move. And just, you get so jaded when you get to realize that a lot of these people are just working for per diems. They're just working because, you know, and also that story for hanging a coat. Do you know, I thought it was a lie until I got into government. I actually did not realize that it's an actual thing. That people come, you put your coat and you just bounce and come back at 4.
Yeah.
And pick your shit
that's
and go.
a thing.
Wow.
Like, you could be in an office, ya gava, mko watu 10, sindio, in the office.
Yeah.
But ni mtu mmoja pekee anadu job.
Yep.
Everybody, like, there are literal people in that office who come to drink tea and go home.
Yes, and read papers.
Yeah, kusoma gazeti ya serikali.
And all of them are higher up in the ranks,
Yes.
actually. They're not people who are just, you know.
Alafu
so you
na-
have a boss who is really, really
Alafu nakuta boss wako ajui
lazy.
kutumia email. He doesn't know
computer.
ajui kutumia computer. Alibuy iPad on the government's dime. Ana idea kutumia iPad.
Oh.
So you have to write their emails. They give you the email logins zake.
Yeah,
You-
so that you can
whatever
write
you
the
are,
emails
you write
for
the
them.
emails for them. You are the one who's going to read their emails and tell them what's going on.
Yes.
Yeye anataka tu kufika kwa ofisi, kupata chai,
It's crazy.
kupata gazeti, na kuambia what's going to happen today.
Yeah.
That's...
And tell the secretary, tell them I'm not in.
And do you think is the problem that the system is broken, or that there are so many people who get into the system and just assimilate into it?
Both. The system has been broken from the start, because we never had a system. We just built on the system that was left by the
Existing,
white people. And of course, it does not work. Like I always say, with every African problem, we should come up with African solutions, not solutions from the West. You get? So because we started building on this old colonial things that were already broken, because they were built in the first place to be broken, so that the white people can always have, you know, the advantage over the black people. So even when things got better and everyone left, and, you know, black people were lied to that they can rule themselves, you find now a situation where, one, a whole lot of, and I'm talking about government, a whole lot of people were hired without papers, without anything. Because back in the day, honestly, how many Africans went to school? Very few. So the people who are brought in at most had what? KCPE or high school equivalents, Form 2, Form 4, whatever. And so you find that this person, the person who you're reporting to, never went past KCSE, because, you know, he came and found everything was good. So why should I go back to school? So here you are reporting to someone who didn't go past high school. You have your master's degree. You have all the certifications and the 101 things that are usually required of you before you join service. Then now there's a problem. And the problem arises where now there's such a huge age gap, because when I got into government, I was 24. The person who was youngest after me was 38, I want to say. 38 or 39. So you feel like that's a whole age gap there. So first, they'll not understand how I work and how I do things and how I, you know. They want to see in the office from 8 to 5. What if I finish my work in 2 hours? Then now what?
That's the thing. Like, for me,
You know?
I'm 28. My boss is 58.
Yeah.
The person I directly report to is 58.
Yeah.
We have 30 years, like, and I retire in 2 years.
Yeah.
We have 30 years of separation. She literally started working before I was born.
You were not even a concept.
Yeah, as in, I was just a glint in the milkman's eye.
Wow.
Wow. So yeah, that disconnect is so, especially in government, that disconnect is so prevalent that there are so many young people at this level, and they're all reporting to somebody who is so out of touch.
A geriatric.
Yeah, mtu tu anangoja kuretire.
Yeah.
You literally somebody who's sitting in the office waiting to retire.
Yeah.
And they're taking up so much money and so much space and resources that could be trickled down to all these people to make their like whatever service
Lives
delivery
easier.
better.
Yeah.
Sindio?
Yeah,
And
true.
like make their lives better. But no, it doesn't work like that. And that's a form of leadership that people don't even consider. Because people always assume leadership is politics. Even in the corporate world, even in government.
What is leadership?
The people who are leading these like departments, the people who are the heads of like major companies, like a few years back, a friend of mine used to work at KPMG. Aliniambia walituma, somebody sent a company-wide email pointing out that the CEO doesn't even have a degree, not a diploma, or a certificate. How can this person be the person leading this company when even mtu anaingia at the lowest level, more qualified, haizingia na paska hizo. So you always hear about all these people, all these great people. Do you remember a few years back the debate ya Nairobi County for governor, and Miguna, God bless his soul, akisema that Peter Kenneth he ran this company into the ground. Sindio? And these are the people who we want to give this position of leadership. And inanisumbua that even in the corporate world, my father was an auditor for a bank, and he would, like, sometimes we would watch news with him, and then I audited that chick, a PS on trial, like for corruption, and like she stole 20 million from a bank, and she quit when I audited her, or audited him, but this amount. And these are the people who are still transitioning from corporate into politics. Apparently being famous, having notoriety is the most important thing for politics in Kenya.
True.
Knowing people, having people know you ni more important than anything else. Wakujue tu, always kwa news cycle. Watu wakujue, ndio watakuvotia. That's a fucked up thing if you really think about it.
Yeah, it is.
We are literally encouraging criminality.
But also, look at, not even politics, look at everything else. You only have to be popular to be given a slot in the radio. You only have to be popular to
Charles King Kalala.
ABCD. You know? And the thing is, at the end of the day, I wish that Kenyans could snap out of, me included, the sensationalism culture, where when someone is a sensation, we want, like when Githeri Man came into the limelight. Please tell me why eating Githeri from a bag gave him a HSC.
Imagine mtu kona HSC guy.
Like, why? Order of the Burning Spear because you can eat maize and beans. You must be crazy. So, that's kind of sensationalism is what we carry everywhere now. Into all, it seeps into all our facets of life. And what we fail to understand is if we do not get our shit together in matters governance, in the next 10 years, we won't have a country.
We'll have, like, here's the...
At a 10 mingi, nimewasaidia, but, you know.
Tuna vote for Makumbafu based on what... We are choosing leaders based not on what they say, but on what we like about them.
Yes.
The people who voted for Uhuru and Ruto because wali take photo shoot. Legit. My classmates in campus walivotia Uhuru na Ruto because walienda wakashake photos. Alafu, you remember the leaked video?
Yes, the one when they were laughing because they kept blooping.
Ati hawa ni marafiki. These are friends.
They're very relatable.
Relatable. Mkate ni 55 bob.
Oh yeah?
Mkate ni 55. Nilienda kubai mkate jana asubuhi.
60.
Maziwa ni 60.
Yo, thank God I don't have the two. Wow.
Nilienda kubai mkate jana asubuhi na I was shocked. Unajuanga nikipeananga.
So when you have a sock, you can't buy like milk and bread.
Yeah, you can't.
No.
I want to buy like 4 eggs usual. Nikiwa na 100 it's 4 eggs and
a loaf of bread.
A loaf of bread na maswiti. So I'm like, okay, nipatia kawaida and like ongeza 3 bob. 3 bob?
And you know how coins are so annoying. I don't understand the concept of coins. Please round off to the nearest figure. I don't understand why bread is 103. Gee, what is 106? Round it off to the next 10 or 0. Like,
tunaangalia na shopkeeper kama ile mimi ya Didi. Tunaangaliana.
The Didi stare.
Yeah, tunaangaliana.
What's
going on here? Mbona mkate 103? What happened? Unajua kaniambia nini? Mkate imepanda bei. Karibu nitapiga kwa ditch. I was shocked. And that's what we get for choosing people based on our like ability factors. You see somebody wanaklapiana na mtu, they are laughing in a corner or something, or like, oh, I'll vote for this man. 1988. This is something I always like. 1988 in the US election, Nani won. George Bush. Yes. George Bush Senior.
Yes.
The day George Bush Senior. He won. He was against a guy called Michael Dukakis. And literally, the only reason he won was because his campaign team, literally created a campaign against Dukakis saying, would you want to drink a beer with this man?
Wow.
Yeah. And that's why he won. Because they painted this dude who had actual ideas and policies as just being some out-of-touch guy who you can't be friends with. This is a president you can be friends with. You can have a beer with George Bush.
Isn't that what they're doing right now to us? See, that's why people go on TV to say that Uhuru eats mutura at night.
I've never seen him eat
Isn't it the
mtura.
same- like, isn't it the same sensationalism?
I've literally said this on this
though?
podcast like before. Where does he eat this mtura? Because what kind of man goes to eat mtura? If the president aenda kula mtura usiku, don't you think there'll be video evidence?
Yeah.
We literally have smartphones with
Yeah.
video. Kila mtu akona smartphone, anaweza piga picha, anaweza take video. Where is he eating this mtura that hakuna mtu anamuona? It's all as in hata angekuja at Kenyatta Market, he goes there once a year or once every 2 years. You know, for PR
When he
purposes.
feels his popularity is
Exactly.
going down.
Hii story ya kula mtura nini, it's propaganda. Personally, Joseph Goebbels would be proud wherever he is.
True. I
Yeah.
agree.
And this is the thing. And I also noticed something recently. Millennials are more into activism than actually seeking out leadership roles, because I feel like people realize maybe when you get into the machine, more likely the machine will swallow you before you swallow it. It's harder to change things that have been set in stone for so long, so they want to change it from outside. Don't you feel like that's a trend that's coming up? Because people are very there's a very strong kama nini juicy the whatever the meme don't loan this man money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that thing spread so far and so wide because of WhatsApp that ilifikia watu wengi sana, and ili put into perspective for them that Kenya is really in a position where we are in a very bad financial position.
Yeah.
That is easier to happen than trying to go into the system and going to parliament and saying, oh, please, let's borrow less.
I feel like the reason even why millennials are into activism and organizing is because we are the most disenfranchised lot.
Yes.
We come from a space where we had Moi as our president for the longest time. We were too young for that. And then Kibaki came. We were too young for that as well, because when the economy was booming and everything, we couldn't benefit. Surely, Kibaki came into government when I was in class 8.
Yeah.
So by the time I was getting to campus, I can only say I enjoyed Kibaki government when I was in campus, because things were really easy in Campo back in the day. But beyond that, we really didn't benefit, because after that came Uhuru. And then came this economic crisis that we are in. So the most that we have is each other.
Yeah.
So it's easier if 1,000 millennials sat down and decided to do activism than 1,000 millennials apply for jobs in wherever. Because wapi yo kazi?
Okay. That is a question.
We're the most unemployed bunch. Like, we are super unemployed.
Alafu, the government is on our necks
Yes.
every time. Every you wake up in the morning and it's like, wow, Serikali is going to tax me for something.
Yeah, there's something new every day. And what we fail to realize is that what it does for our collective psyche as millennials. Because on one end, your parents who are the boomers are telling you, laziness.
You are lazy.
You did not do ABCD. Surely, my folks were paid to go to school.
Yeah.
They were paid to stay there. And by the time you're in second, third year, you already have a job with Central Bank. You already have a job with who have you. And then now here I am trying to explain to my parents that
we live in different times.
I am not getting an internship because hata hiyo internship hakuna.
Na kama
There's
iko
niggas that have master's
unpaid.
degree that are applying for these jobs. And don't get me started on the unpaid things. Like everything, like it's like people look at millennials and decide, you people are useless. You still live with your parents. Why do you need to get paid for this work? You should be grateful.
kitu ingine unasikia ati there are 20 slots open for internship. Kwa hizo 20 17 zimeshachukuliwa.
Yes.
Wajua director wa nani amesema hii ni ya mtoto wa nani?
Yes.
So
yes.
300 people apply for 3 slots.
Not like 1,000.
1,000, sindio? So many people. Alafu like the interview panel is like, fuck this shit. This is too many people. Let's just give this 3 to random, like to people we know here.
Yeah.
Nobody ends up getting anything. Because cronyism. Guy.
Yeah.
Cronyism is so prevalent in Kenyan government. Mpaka unashtuka.
I didn't think that thing about, guys are applying for jobs and the interview process will be tokenized because there are already people who have already filled them. So this is just a formality kind of thing. Until I got in and I actually realized that's what happens. And it's like,
Unajua kuna pesa ya interview.
wow.
Kuna pesa ya interview
Yes,
lazima
it's
ikuliwe.
a whole lot of money. It's 5,000 bob a day as an interviewer, but
What?
Yeah, kuna pesa ya interview. Kuna pesa you as an interview
you're paid
utalipwa.
as an interviewer.
So you are just
As
going
a
to go through
sitting
this
allowance.
fast
Yeah.
because you're
But
going to get
these
paid.
jobs belong to ABCD.
Yeah.
And I feel like at this point we should just dismantle the system from the beginning. Like, leave it alone, because this is not something that will stop. Because you might, like, when I was going in, I went in with very pure intentions, you know? I'm going to be the best, you know? The best HR they've ever seen. I'm going to do everything by the book, which I did. And then you get to the point where your things have to be approved and you're told, apana, ama kazi yako inakanyagiwa, or something happens such that somehow the things that you had already agreed on are not what are being implemented, which is really unfortunate because a lot of people miss out on such great opportunities. Because at the end of the day, even with the kind of nonsense that Gava has, Gava can be a very good employer.
Yeah.
The job security, they focus a lot on trainings, so you can get trainings. Yes, your NHIF is
wonderful.
bomb.
Yes,
you have unlimited inpatient and outpatient. Like,
yeah. Mimi nakunga mgonjwa naenda tu hospitali. Nilianza kohoa jana usiku, nini mbaya?
Yeah, it's amazing. But now because of the you know, cronyism and favorism and uni mtu wetu and ABCD, a lot of people miss out on these opportunities that come. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to government, hakuna kazi ya mtu. And that is what you're told when you get into government. You will live, you'll die, you'll do everything, na hii kazi bado itabaki. Like, this is not your job. It belongs to everyone. But somehow, when it comes to the everyone bit, kumbe the everyone is mtoi wa who and who. Yeah, you're supposed to be a so-and-so for you to get to that point, which is, how are we going to effect change if everything from the beginning to the end is a lot of rigged things? Millennials are being kicked out. And also the attitude that people have towards millennials, by the way.
Yeah.
We are seen as such nuisances. We are seen as very lazy. We are seen as... It's a whole lot of times I had to defend myself at work. It's a whole lot of times I had to defend myself
exactly what you mean.
At work because they really could not understand my thought process or how I do things.
Work
So,
smarter.
for example, if you're given a whole lot of work and I found out that if I use this method, it's going to take me 30 minutes, of course, I'll not go through the long method. I'm going to do what will take the shortest amount of time and get everything done. But somehow, even that is a problem. How millennials, you know, we are called entitled, we are called lazy, we are called all these names. And at the end of the day, people say sticks and stones. But it gets to a point where you even sit down and ask yourself, hi, maybe I'm lazy, by the way.
But then
Maybe I'm the problem, because how come everyone seems to have this thought about me? Then it must be true. Maybe I'm the one that's the problem. And then you sit down and you realize that it's a whole lot of bullshit. And it's just, you get jaded. You do.
And that's like a trickle-down thing, I realized. It has to start from the top.
Yes, it does.
The person at the top has to be aware of of how they behave. Because kuna siku you will want to do something. Especially, have you ever worked with guys of CDF?
Yes.
CDF guys are so difficult to work with because MP alisema, MP alisema. And it's like, wow.
Anytime you do a CDF based
it's like
project, it's going
MP alisema. And it's so hard, even working with guys like the DCC.
Yes.
DCC alisema. Everybody beneath that chain wanna live on the words of the person at the top. So if the person at the top ni mtu anaamua anakuwa tu kichwa ngumu, the whole process itakuwa too hard for you because it's all trickle down. Huyu akisema ni hivyo, unatry to think na somebody. And this, I don't want to say this is just government peke yake, even in corporate, especially in corporate, because the thing with government people don't realize is the job security. Utakosana na boss wako, fuck you, so nipige transfer basi. Like if you're if you're HR, formerly HR, sindio, you unakosana na boss wako, you'll be taken to a state department. Go work with somebody else. If you work in corporate, they're gonna fire your ass. That's the truth. See eti nini, utakosana na boss wako and they're gonna fire you for gross incompetence. And there's nothing you can do about it. So, and that's a problem, I feel like, even with millennials coming into leadership. Because I feel we're coming into an age where younger people, especially not even not Gava, but in the corporate space, are coming into positions of power. But at the same time, they're still perpetuating the old ways of thinking. Because unaza kuta, you're 35, sindio? You've started a successful company. You're like a really successful company. You're on the board of this other company doing this. But what happens is you don't bring in change. You're just assimilated into the old ways. You're brought into this exclusive club. I remember Daenerys Targaryen, alisemanga break the wheel. Instead of breaking the wheel, you become part of the spokes. You just perpetuate. And you're up there. Everybody beneath you is suffering. And you know they're suffering because you've lived shared experiences. Uko hapo uko like, but you know maze, the head of the board, anafanya nini. Then, even at your company, you're still treating the people who work for you the same way these old people treat other people. You understand that the cost of living is increasing. That we work in very dynamic times. and we are such different people that at the end of the day, if you want somebody to work 8 hours a day, somebody can come in at 10 and leave at 7.
Yes.
Somebody can come in at 7 and leave at 4. Sindio? But you're not being accommodating to, because we are not like our parents. The 40-hour work week was never designed for us.
For single people.
It was designed for people who are married.
Yeah.
A man could go to work 8 to 5, then come back home, sindio, knowing that bibi yake amepika chakula, bibi yake ameosha nyumba, taking care of the kids. What happens when you and your wife are working? Who's taking care of the kids? Who's gonna cook? So it's a whole different time zone, a whole different time frame. Kila kitu. We live a completely different experience. But even millennials in leadership right now are still perpetuating the same things. There's this guy on Twitter. I've forgotten his name, but he's like a CEO of a company. He took a pay cut so that everybody at his company could earn 70,000. Yeah. And that's something. It was so weird because he's still gonna be rich.
Yeah.
See, Minnesota, he's still rich. But now everybody at his company
is at the same.
It makes money. Unaishi vizuri. You don't have like, because $70,000 is 7M a year.
Yeah.
Regardless of where you are, that's still enough money to live. Even if imagine if the guy who cleans the office made 50K a year, or 50K a month. That is insane job security. Uni mtu atakuja kazi kila siku akijua, I don't want to leave this place. Work itakuwa poa. But you're paying these dudes peanuts, and you should know better, but you don't. And at the end of the day, you're just stuck in this cycle.
Well, I mean, I think it's a capitalistic thing. You know, keep the costs low and the profits high. And that's I think even another thing that should be dismantled, because honestly, research has shown time and time again that when you remunerate your people properly, they won't leave. They'll do better jobs. Like, it will be to your benefit. Like the Dan Price we're talking about right now. He was saying in like a year, they were doing 5 times profit than they had the year before. Simply because he raised the minimum wage.
Yeah.
You know? But here we really don't have ethics around, you know, minimum wage and things like those, and adjusting for cost of living. And I feel like it's such in as much as it's a capitalistic thing, it's also a problem that Kenya has. It's a very uniquely Kenyan problem. The fact that we really want to undercut people. You know, I feel like being in HR exposes you to a lot of things. I was talking to a recruiter who was telling me that a lot of international organizations prefer Kenyan recruiters because they know how much we undercut people.
Wow.
Like
Yay, capitalism.
Yes.
Yay, capitalism.
They legit come to Kenyan firms and tell Kenyan firms, hi, I'm looking to recruit this and this and this and this and this and this. If the organization is the one that was doing it, he'd be remunerated properly. But because it's being done through a HR agency, they're going to get your labor for close to nothing. Yes. And it's in the many ways in which, like, Kenya really breaks my heart, because you'd think that people know better. At this point, the oldest millennial is how old? 36? 30?
Yeah, I would
36,
assume.
37?
Yeah.
Like, we really, really do have a say in a lot of these things. Because at the end of the day, and I keep telling people, policies are man-made. A lot of these things are man-made. Even money is man-made. So if the same man sat down and decided, okay, this is not working, how can we adjust this to, you know, suit the current? And that's the other problem I had with Gava. We have policies that we were using even in 1938.
Mpaka saizi.
We have them as law.
Do you know Kipra? You go to Kipra. Kipra is like Kenya Institute of Public Policy Research. Forgotten the A inamaanisha ni. But you go there, and like there's so many policies that are so dope on shelves, just gathering dust
stacked on shelves
that need to go to parliament to be discussed, but they will never see the light of day. Because like, guys write some of the best policies you could imagine, like policies that are people-centric, employee-centric, that they protect
even urban
planning. So much dope shit that is there that's never going to see the light of day, because the leaders, the people who are supposed to discuss this politics, the leaders, are more interested in keeping themselves in power through BBI and what nonsense na kituka hiyo, and shuffling themselves around between being a senator and a governor.
But also it's because they know it will up you know, it's going to be an upheaval of everything. And they realize that once we give the proletariat the kind of power that these policies will give them, no, it's going to be a wrap for us. You know,
somebody told me that Kenya sucks because we can't. It's not that we can't get better, it's because the people in power realize that once people realize it could be better, they'll always want better.
Yes.
So they'd rather just stand on our necks.
Absolutely.
forever, because the moment watuachilia hivi kesi wanasema kumbe mnaweza tuachilia, kumbe things can be good. Then why haven't things been good? Kumbe that's the thing. The moment you unaonyesha mtu just a bit of prosperity, they're gonna want it tomorrow.
Yes.
So heri wasionje yote. Tukae tukijichapanga tu.
You know, a lot of the you know even what makes me really upset is countries that come and tell us we came and benchmarked for you guys. You know, we came here and oh my god, agriculture is bomb in our country now because we used your papers, and you're like, hiya, what about our agriculture then? What happened to that? And then you sit down and one thing, I worked as a policy developer in Gava as well, after I got bored with HR. So it really showed me how brilliant Kenyans are. Like the ideas that we have, even the policy papers that we have, they won't be affected because then it means that a lot of Kenyans will be educated. You know, it's the ignorance that power rides on. Yeah. You know, the masses are ignorant, so we can do whatever. Like the policy papers I have come across, I'm like, wow, even if we were to implement just 1%, literally just 1%, everyone will be better for it. But we won't want to do that because then it means
you said something interesting.
More power to the people.
Benchmarking. I remember, I don't know if this story is true, but I saw it in the paper. I saw it in the paper that guys, I don't know which group of MCAs went to Rwanda to benchmark about like raising dairy cattle.
Yes.
And then when they got there, strictly benchmark Kiambu. Imagine benchmark Kiambu, like what the fuck?
And do you know even Israel benchmarked from us about dairy farming? Wow. Like wow, Israel.
Imagine such a stupid thing. How do you fly out to another country? Kufika kwa mnaambia mmekuja ku benchmark. Lakini sisi tulikuwa tukiambu juzi tukibenchmark pia. And it's like, don't you feel like a fucking idiot? But you know,
PDM lazima. Na per diem za kufly out ni mingi.
Watu wajuangi.
Good money.
You know that once you realize how much per diem is, you would understand why these motherfuckers love it.
Yeah.
And that's where we need to start with the change. Where we need to break down the system completely from the bottom.
To per diems.
Yes. Death to per diems. But you are 2,200 naambia leko lodging.
Do you know, I feel like a lot of trips would be cancelled?
Yeah.
Because if you're giving someone a DSA of 2,000 bob versus the 20,000 they're used to per day, it's crazy.
You know, because I used to work at a place, Igavaya, there's this chick who used to be on every trip list, but she never showed up. I used to ask, what the fuck is going on here? He's like, she's sleeping with one of the directors. I'm like, damn, nigga.
Must be nice.
And then if you refuse to give her the DSA, unaitwa kwa ofisi ya director unaambia wewe acha ujinga mazi unafanya nini? Like director anakuita anakuambia acha ufala, give her that money. Give her that fucking money now. And if you ever not give her that money, you're going to deal with me. And I'm like, damn, nigga. Wow, jeez. So like, kwa hiyo list, kuna mtu mwenye angekuja with actual expertise. Nafanya kazi, but haizi kuja. Juu kuna mse fulani tuko ofisi anapatiwa hiyo do, yana chill. It's a wonderful life, isn't it?
Must be nice. Those are the levels we did not get to unlock. But you know.
Yeah. And okay, a question I have for both of you. Do you feel like in 20 years, the situation because niggas are gonna die. Let's not pretend like these niggas are gonna live forever. These niggas are gonna die.
Yeah.
Hao watu wametushikilia saizi hivi watakufa siku moja.
Magufuli anaongoja tu.
Magufuli sasa yako at the gates of heaven akiambia Angel Gabriel, angalia list tena. Lazima niko hapo, angalia list tena. Ama niangalie list ya kwenda jehanamu. But that's not important. Anyway, these niggas are gonna die. And there's going to be a transition. Do you think the transition will be positive or negative? Because now millennials will be like, in 20 years, when you say, like the oldest millennials will be, is like 37 now, sindio? In 20 years, they're going to be 57, like pushing 60. Do you think the transition will be positive or will it be more of the same?
Do you want to go first? You go first. Hey. I feel like unless something very drastic happens, like one day we start guillotining niggas out here to show that we're actually serious.
Shout out Marie Antoinette.
Yeah. Let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake.
But like, unless something very drastic happens, things will remain the same.
Yeah.
They will remain the same, because the system is the same. You know, it's a different person going into the same system that corrupted the other person that was there, the other person that was there. So there's not going to be change unless we sit down and dismantle everything. And that's why I'm an anarchist. Burn everything to the ground and, you know, start building from the ground up.
Oh, the Joker would love you.
Yeah.
The Joker would love you.
If you're single, hi boo.
What?
Here's the thing. I
You're
feel
down bad, bro.
down tremendous, down horrendous, unbelievably down. Jesus. May feel like it's going to be 50-50 because as time passes, actually, let me just tell you why I think this. Do you guys know Nicolae Ceausescu?
Yes.
Yeah. You remember like his when the revolution happened in Romania? Sindio? The more people spend time under these conditions, because it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yes.
The more people spend time under these conditions, the more people are going to realize we can't just continue living like this. There's going to be a group of people that's going to break away from the norm. And there's going to be a people who are going to realize we can't live like this. The only thing we can do is to become the rich, the powerful, and just step on everybody's necks.
Yes.
I feel like there's going to be a half and half of where there'll be more Boniface Mwangis, and there'll still be the same number of people like, you know, the usual Kenyan politician, the usual babuinos. But because out of the ashes a phoenix rises. The more tunakanyagwa kwa shingo, the more tunarealize wewe mazi hatuwezi kanyagwa forever. Smoking Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. Smoking is 30 bob.
You feel that passionately about smoking.
Smoking it. You know why? Because like when I was in campus, I'd leave the club, drunk out of my mind, na peana so napatiwa smoki 5 bila change. Say so ni smoking.
You were in campus and smoke is 20 bob.
Yes.
Okay. Let me not.
Zakulikuwa 15 ama.
Zilifika 15 tukariot kiasi like.
So yeah, that's the thing. Mimi nikitoka nikibuy smoki, napeana so napatiwa smoki 5. The homies are eating. Saizi napeana so napatiwa 3 na change. That's a 50% increase.
Yeah.
At some point, the cost of living and the way easy austerity measures, the constant taxation, is going to break some people.
Yes.
Kuna realize that we can't live like this anymore. That's what happened for Ceausescu. He put this country in extreme austerity measures for 10 years. Ikafika point where this man had built this entire cult of personality and it collapsed into 2 days. That's why like they booed him on like the revolution started on like a Tuesday. He was executed on a Thursday.
Yeah.
And
Vile inafa.
So I feel like the more we continue to live like this, the more people are going to realize that this isn't the right system to live in. But there's still going to be people who are like, you know what, the system isn't okay, but I don't care as long as I'm the one winning.
Can I say one small thing? I feel like no revolution is bloodless. So for as long as nobody is willing to die for this country, we are not going to go.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We're not going to go far, and it's a whole lot of people. Like personally, me, I cannot die for this country. Wacha tuanze hapo. And I feel like we are a whole lot of us who would not. But do you know? I was talking to a friend of mine who are high out of our minds, like who are not functioning.
A dream.
So, I asked her, "How does the revolution look like to you?" And she was like, "The revolution will not be a tea. People will go and burn things. No, one day." Someone is going to cross the road and get hit by a car.
Exactly.
And all those cars will be set on fire. And nobody will understand what is going on. Like, she's like, the revolution will look like maybe you're going to get shot at. Do you want to get shot at? Maybe on my toe. Like somewhere where I won't really get incapacitated for long. Yeah, we can talk about that. So no revolution can come without blood. And for as long as there are no selfless people in this fight, we'll literally spend our days talking like this. Vitu zitachange siku moja.
Ni kama Arab Spring.
To change. Yes, there has to be blood.
Do you know how Arab Spring started? It was it Tunisia or Morocco? I can't remember the country exactly, but it's one of the two. This guy used to sell like fruits on his cart. So one day but he didn't have a Kanjo license. They came, kicked over his cart, threw his fruit in the dirt, and then took his cart and left with it. That guy was like so distraught. He set himself on fire. And that's the spark that started Arab Spring. Literally, that's one thing. Nikama even Ceausescu, for him to be like kuuliwa, the revolution, it started because the government wanted to evict a pastor from his like government house because he had been critical of the government.
Yeah.
They all start on with such small things that snowball into such big effects. So if something was to happen here, it answers in the most innocuous way. When umesema mtu kugongwa na gari tu. But it needs that inahitaji mtu mmoja kuwa like we need to change. And it needs people to be aware that hatuwezi endelea kuishi hivi. That's the thing.
For me, I feel like I'll take points from both of you. You talked about, a bloodless revolution it doesn't exist. Yeah, and that's true, because even if you look at like the black movement, yeah, so many people died before like black people could even get the freedom that they have like at the moment. And we're normally scared to go out there and like say protest, not even protesting, just activism in general. We're so scared. Or like you find for the middle class, for the middle class, you say like, oh, activism, we can't go out there. Watch it like wasirengino and you know. And I feel like there needs to be unity like among all classes, but that's also not very possible, because like the 1% of the 1%, they're not gonna be in solidarity with like
fuck you niggas.
Yeah, that's not possible. But also one thing I noticed say over the past few weeks, kuna historia IMF loans nini.
Yes.
So many people were protesting, not even on the streets.
Online.
You could see like online.
Kenyans
People on
hijacked
the IMF
Facebook page. They hijacked a whole session.
Imagine.
A whole life.
Stop loaning Kenyans.
Stop fucking
And this is how it starts.
Yeah.
You know what? The government even had to like pay people to start like loans are good hashtag.
Yes.
Like to try to convince us that barabara na jengo. No one gives a shit, man.
We can't eat the road.
Yeah, let them eat cake.
Yeah. So there was also this guy who was calling Ali Pigame.
Yeah, I remember that shit.
It was funny as fuck.
Are you the president of Kenya? Are you the head of state? I'm a citizen.
Nikashanga venye that woman was asking like, oh, are you the president? I was like, kwani loans inapeana too over the phone?
Angesema yes.
Angesema yes.
Ni mimi.
Tungeescalate wapi?
Angesema it's me. Umse angeambia sawa nimecancel holiday.
I'm a hold please. Let me give the president of the IMF or whoever is at the top.
But yeah, so I feel like it's going to reach a point where Kenyans are going to be exhausted with the overtaxation, the corruption that's happening. Tuliambiwa, we're still 2 billion every day.
Do you know?
You know, and nothing happened. Like, we just moved on. Like, oh, okay, great. Then just move on. And I feel like Kenyans are watachoka eventually then. Yeah.
Do you know what I had a feeling our Arab Spring would have been? When they raised the prices. You remember the prices that now it had to be cut back to the suppliers. I feel like if it would have figured 127, it would have been on site. Because kerosene is 100 bob a litre using that old system. I'm sure it was going to cause chaos.
I think
somebody
with enough foresight alisema wewe nyinyi as in mkiresi price kuna vitu tu zitafanyika mtaelewa, because the first thing that's going to happen is matatus will strike,
of course,
then niggas can't get to work, niggas can't get paid, then niggas are going to strike. And with that dream in mind, it's time for the music break.
Alrighty.
Ivy still isn't here, but the vibes are there. It's time for the music.
Ivy Gang Gang, aka Mango King.
So welcome back from the music break. So to finish off, we'll talk about what can be done to change, the system, and for the system to be more accommodating to millennials. Let's start with you.
I feel like we should start by a whole total overhaul. Change from the policies, change everything from the ground, and also impose a mandatory 50-year rule. I feel like after 50, there's nothing you're doing in the office.
Yeah.
Your eyesight is bad. You, yes, have the expertise, but there's nothing you're doing in the office. So you'd rather come back as a consultant once in a while, but just after 50, leave. Another thing...
Was it 55 Zamani then?
Yes, it was 55, and then it was moved to 60, and then with the PWDs, was 65. Moved to 65.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So I feel like we should go back to really change the policies, because at the end of the day, policies are man-made, and it's a lot of these policies that have the hindrance that it has towards millennials. Another thing that would make a change is if we actually had millennials at the top, not at the bottom. Let us not be the paper pushers. Let us not be the people to put the stamp. Let us be in the room.
Making the decisions. And also being in leadership positions. Because for a lot of millennials, you get to a kind of glass ceiling of some sort. Yes.
Because by the time I was leaving, I left because I couldn't go any further. Yet I had done nothing.
You've been treading water for so long.
Yeah, relatively nothing. You've been mark timing at the same place for years. Nothing is happening. So I feel like even that, the whole concept of glass ceilings should go. And also, I feel like for a lot of times, and I'm talking about how we can change in government as someone who's worked there, is if we stopped the whole, you have to stay a couple of years in the same job group to move to the next. Like there should be something like promotion by merit. Like let your brains and your work ethics speak for you. Because I feel like the more representation we have at the top, the better it's going to get for us. But for as long as we don't have people on the top, because for a whole lot of times, I feel like I was very privileged because of that gap that came with the freeze meant that I was going second in command, third in command.
Always.
So I was default.
Number two.
Yeah,
default number 2.
Yeah, default number 2 because of age. And that representation, for me, in my own little ways, I made sure that a lot of people that will come behind me in that position will have it easier than I did. Yeah.
For me, piggybacking off our last episode 10, about education, start them young, start them early. Like because Kaisana talked about social justice, Cindy as being one of the pillars of the what's it called? CBC, yes. Start people early that. Educate people that this isn't how things work. Like they need to be aware once you start, like leadership starts from the beginning. You grow a leader. You just can't become 30 and then realize your father is rich. Oh, I can be an MP. Yeah, leaders grow.
Yes.
So it starts from the beginning. You start them young, you start educating them the positive values. You start showing them why leadership matters. Not the monetary value or the hiding or defeat away from prosecution. Then you become an MP for this and that. You show them why leadership matters and why leadership is important. And there's definitely going to be people who will gravitate towards that for the right reason.
Yes.
So it might not bear fruit now, but 20, 30 years down the line, we'll have a whole generation of people who are completely detached from what we take leadership to be. That's the thing. This is a very weird analogy, but Iceland, the football team, they made semi-finals of Euros in 2016. They made the 2018 World Cup quarterfinals, and it all started from the year 1998 when they started actually training these kids to play football.
Yes.
So for a country of 300,000 people or 350k people to make it to that level, they over time, like they understand the value of starting them young, starting them early, getting the best of the best. Because over time you can separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yes.
So that's something I really want. Education, especially in governance and civics, like vitukaizo should be the basics. Like I understand moral concept is important fear to some people, but also at the same time, we shouldn't be looking at like STEM degrees as the only thing that matters.
Sure.
Have all these people engaged in the governance process, in civics, in ethics, kila kitu that makes a proper leader from the start.
True.
We have if we have like 200, 300 people who are really committed into being leaders who bring change. In 30 years, this country will be better off because there's nothing that can be salvaged. We might be going downhill now, but at some point itabidi to engage break na tuanze kwenda juu tena.
Yes.
And that's gonna be the people who are gonna lead us back up again. Yeah, make a bagusi great.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Max made that joke on India. I just imagine right now
really?
because I wanted to say like make Africa great again. I remember make a bagusi great. Max made that joke on Twitter.
I saw it. It was hilarious. You're really funny.
Yeah, actually, follow Max at the Maxy Njeka on Twitter. Listen to our podcast. Watch what we do. Pamoja. Subscribe to our YouTube. Surviving Nairobi. There's no fucking way to go 4,000 listeners on like audio. I'm subscribed to our YouTube. How the fuck do we have like 800 subs peke yake?
On YouTube?
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Start podcasting nude. Maybe that's the sex.
No, like apana, that's the thing. As in nitavunja ndoa ngapi? Nitavunja ndoa ngapi? How will as in I'll be breaking more marriages than alcoholism.
Ish, sorry.
Mnataka nini sasa?
Believe in your own source.
Personally, nikianza ku podcast nude, how many women will be flocked in here?
Wow.
Kina Felix won't even be able to do their jobs. The only thing that the mic will be picking up is just dripping.
Tufungie episode.
And that marks the end of this
And
episode.
on that bloop note, thanks for rocking with us. It's been episode 11 of Surviving Nairobi. Sub to our YouTube if you're not. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Ivy gang gang.
aka Mango King.